That should work. Okay, so otherwise, if this is the real vote, it's going to be, either way, we're going to call this end vote. The actual vote, and then we're both going to call these resets on it. So what we're going to have to call here is our handle command. So I guess what we want to do is implement a blueprint, because I want blueprints to actually handle some of this crap. Alright, so that'll be handle vote is what we'll call to start with. Alright, vote to vote changed, vote to vote reset. We'll reset the actual vote, and on actual vote change will be called. So we'll call end on the actual vote, we'll reset it, we'll unrep, and that'll call everything on the client and the server, and we'll call it in order for us. And we can actually throw even more of this stuff off here. So literally it's just check vote and then handle the logic. So that'll be off in blueprint land. Check our vote based on victory condition. Yeah, okay, here we are. So vote. Alright, so this one's going to return none for that one. Alright, so what else do we do for our other vote here? We had string of IDs, and then we also had like this majority. Yeah, so we have to do this whole thing here. So we're going to go through, we're going to add owned actor, user ID. They must have had some issue with the owned actor or somebody else not having it. Oh, well, we're using the proxy, so we're fine. Alright, so if there are changes in the total votes, then we are going to do that it changed. How do we represent that it changed? I guess we could have a bool ref or some crap in there. So we could just do it that way to get multiple return values out of this thing. Alright, so we need our vote-to-vote victory condition to be set here. Alright, so if it's none or half, let's just do it that way. Majority is going to be that sort of thing. It's just going to be divided by 2. Otherwise, I think this will just be, instead of that, we'll just do default. Just throw it there so it'll fall through. So what should you do for a minority? Minority should be total voters divided by 3 or something like that. Alright, so this is going to be cast vote.cast votes. Alright, so what we want to do here is if the total voters let's see. If the vote.castvotes.num is equal to total voters, result now equals true. If vote, so the other thing we're going to want to see is if there's a majority. So we want a majority for each side, so we want a in32 eyes and nays. So we'll count up those for it and those against. So if the cast votes is equal to the total number of voters, if the ayes is greater than or equal to a majority, result now equals true. If nays is greater than or equal to a majority, result now equals true. I'm just working on a generic voting system for voting on game options, so somebody could vote to remove somebody from the game or in the match or something like that. Remove a player or add a bot or increase the number of maximum players or something. Okay, so if result now is false, we're going to return the vote victory condition. It'll be vote status, vote in progress. So otherwise, what we want to check is if we won or lost. So if our ayes is greater than or equal to a majority, win. Loss. Actually, no, the only win condition is if the ayes have it, otherwise we lose. So this will be win, and anything else is a loss. So what do we need to do? We need to change the vote status. It needs to be EBS vote status vote 1. Actually, no. I guess yes. All right. So this is what I'll do. We'll do multicast in actual vote with the vote. Then we're going to reset this thing. Update going well? Yeah, the update has been stable and has gone well. No, we need to not handle any of this, right? We already have it handled, so we just need a return, and this thing up here for checking the generic vote is actually going to do the thing, so we need it to. Multicast actual vote And this will be on actual vote changed. Vote reset. Alright, well let's make sure all this stuff compiles then, because I think that's all of our... Actually, we need to regenerate our code as well, because we had an enum. I think that's all of our voting logic finished for the actual nuts and bolts. We don't have an implementation of anything, but that's fine. It doesn't need to be implemented. And we don't have any UI integration yet, which is also fine. Looks like Adam's already bored with working and is playing with Jeff right now. Very good. Alright, so request vote is not working right. Unrecognized type A player proxy. Well, it's a player proxy actor. That'd be why. Easy enough. Oh man, people will find anything to complain about. It's just always funny to check Facebook, and it's always the same people bitching about everything. It's just like, oh yeah, your life is impossible. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, if I was you, life would be impossible too. That is definitely a fact. Alright, so check vote does not take one argument. That's right, it takes two. Cast votes is not a member of this. I beg to differ. Cast votes is definitely a member of our generic vote. It's because it's masking. So that should be like that. Yeah, one thing I also have to do is I have to figure out my GDC schedule. I've been talking about how I need to do that, but I am going to need to do that. Because it's a very busy conference. And if you don't know which talk you're going to, you end up having no idea what you're doing. Because everything's just all over the place. And I don't know, do they still serve meals at GDC? I don't think that, yeah, it looks like they're not doing meals anymore. So one of the funny things about GDC, at least when I was in college and went down there, they have these meals where at the conference they will actually serve, during lunchtime they'd actually have you, present your pass, and you have like a meal thing, and you could have bought the meal plan with your pass, so you don't have to like go out into the middle of downtown San Francisco, a place, that obviously has no food. I'm being sarcastic. San Francisco has excellent food everywhere, but there's like, if literally everybody in the city went out to eat, there'd be a spot for them, is something that has been said. Instead of doing that, we can buy this, big group meal plan thing to get cheap conference food while you're at a conference. And, I didn't go for it, but a few people in college did, because they're like, oh man, I'll save money. This will be great. The food that they got, think about it. So you're at a conference and lunch is like an hour, right? So what food are you going to serve people at a conference that's going to be sitting out for an hour and also visited by 1,000 people over that hour? Well, the only thing you can possibly serve is pre-made sandwiches and other stuff that can also survive out for an hour at room temperature with thousands of grubby paws getting all over it. So, welcome to the cheapest, most awful meal plan with sandwiches with way too much mayo. Everyone who bought a meal plan just threw their sandwich in the trash and went out to lunch with the rest of us normal, sane people. All right, so there's our voting system. Excellent. You do not sign up for talks at GDC. I think there were a few where you had to sign up, or you at least had to be there early to get in. But most talks at GDC have plenty of room, and you kind of just the people at the door will help out. Like, one of the big things with conferences is when people all file into a hall to sit down at chairs, everybody pretty much leaves gaps between each other and doesn't want to sit shoulder to shoulder, because you're at a conference with a bunch of developers. They're not always the most cleanly of people. But the ushers make sure everybody has to. They take care of everything, so it's pretty good. It's also they have giant rooms, so it's pretty simple. So for our voting, we actually want to put the implementation of our voting inside of our level actor, inside of blueprints. So let's see if we can actually get this working. And nothing pisses me off more than having somebody else set up lunch for you and have it be bad. Like, I don't think I've ever been to an event where you're forced to eat a certain meal and it's good. It's always just, it's like corporate functions as well. If you're not going out to a restaurant, it's going to suck, because they always have the same crap. They always go get, some food. Oh, I'm not at head revision? Alright, well maybe I can pull down whatever changes Adam has. I'll take that back. There was one meal which was good, which of course was at Molten Games, which is where the engineering, the technical director there, he was like personal friends with some people who ran the local Chick-fil-A, and he got everybody like the really good stuff and lots of it for free, and that was cool. But at stuff like Amazon, since Amazon is frugal, people would get creative. They're like, all right, cool, so we want to serve lunch for everybody at this like engineer brown bag. And the worst thing is they always got these like build your own sandwich bar kits. So everybody would go past, and it's like, here's a pound of ham and a pound of turkey and some pieces of cheese and different types of breads, and it was just like, this is the grossest. Like, want nothing to do with that sort of stuff. So if you're watching this and you have a team of people and you want to take them out to lunch, let them choose their own meals. Anything else is just a bad plan. I'm going to set my arena test to be the starting one in the editor. Because I don't want to be restarting this thing when I build and starting up in that LVUI and having to click through a whole bunch of crap. Also, if you're going to do any sort of meeting where you want people to talk, don't get bags of chips. That's definitely one of my pet peeves. Is we have like an engineering meeting at Amazon and some idiot would think it's a great idea to have a whole bunch of bags of sun chips in there, which are well, when you're going to a conference for somebody who actually has culinary skills, it's not that you're forced to eat that food, it's that you want to eat that food. That's part of why you're there. I'm going to go to a nutrition conference and I'm going to sample all the good stuff, as opposed to I'm going to go to a conference where they don't care about food, they only care about graphics pipelines and lighting systems and startup businesses. It's just not going to work. So we're going to override a function which will be bHandleVote. Where did it even put that? Oh, it's on our event graph? Okay, that's fine. Well, let's add a handleVote function here. And let's throw it in voting. And this is going to need to take a generic vote. No, not a cast vote, a generic vote. So let's break this up. This is going to be an agenda. We'll break the agenda for the vote up. And it's going to need to switch on the type. And we will implement these things. All right, have a good one. Thanks for coming in and saying hello. So, what do we want for these votes? We're going to want to make functions for all of them. So let's go ahead and duplicate this. Let's do handle kick user. This is an array of strings, so the first so we'll get the first one and that'll be our user ID. So let's get our string here. We'll set our user ID to this. So let's just do the things here. So what are our types here? We've got kick user. We've got ban user. Well, we don't have bans implemented. So, You've got handling ending a match. We've got handling adding a bot. So in this case, the bot number is going to be this thing. Alright, and match doesn't need user ID. Ban user does. Kick user does. Handle add bots is there. Handle remove bot. And we need handle remove bots. Decrease max players, increase max players. All right. This is decreasing. Increase max players, and we also have balanced teams. Okay, so the question is, where is our post chat message? We've got one here somewhere. Okay, so I can send a chat message here for these things, which I think I will. So let us post some chat stuff. So get local player. What if we're a server? Is it on the game mode? All right, well, what do these call? Server RPC chat message in our player controller calls our game state on chat message. All right, so we can just call this. So get game state. And call on chat message. So I'll make a static function here. You gotta check these out. All right, this is net multicast though. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, cool. Very good. I think that'll do it. So let's just go ahead and make sure to save everything. And let's also actually hook these up. Do we have a remove all buds? Oh, we don't have a remove bots. Well, we'll get it. Alright, so it's looking much better. Very good. So I need to regenerate the code. Alright. Let's get that working. Hello, Chris Goku. Didn't you have a game you were launching or something? So I think that was you. How did that go? Like it was launching the next day and then I promptly stopped streaming for a week or something. We have everything running to figure out. You had to go look what in the core engine code to go figure out what was busted. That's just a regular day. Unreal 4 wouldn't do that, right? Something that's busted? No, never. I think that's... You have to make a video and wait for Steam approval? Alright. Well, that's cool. That's not too bad. That's a good reason to delay things. You know, there's bad reasons, like nothing works. Half of our developers died in a house fire. That the other members of the team started that house fire, and that it was on purpose, or some other issue. Doing stuff that wasn't implemented, yeah, that can be the worst. We've actually got that written down. One of our long-time issues, like we do sprints and we do retrospectives for those sprints. And one of the things that just every single sprint was like, yeah, we tried to use this Unreal system. It was not complete. It was about 50% there, and we have to do the rest. And it was just every single feature down the line of just like, well, it kind of works, but it doesn't fully work. So we pretty much just got that to be expected, to be like, well, I'm going to try lighting and shadows. And then you're like, great, so lighting doesn't work the way we want in this one place, so now we have to set up the lighting channels and add specific things for the player actors, and trash. Trash city. A lot of to do and not there. Yeah, that's definitely how things work sometimes. It's always the best when it's like a really important system. You're like, oh, like security for this connection. And it's like there's like a function that's like is secure, returns true, with like / to do implement security. You're like, damn. But that's one thing I like about using Unreal 4 as opposed to like Unity or some other engines. You actually get the source, you can actually go in there, and why isn't this working? Oh, it's not implemented, and the documentation is wrong. I'm just looking at a few things. All right, cool. How's our game going? Our game's going pretty well. We released our third update last weekend, and a lot of people have said it's the best update we've gotten so far, which is encouraging. But we added a bunch of game modes that we can play, and a whole voting system. So this is what we got right now. Somebody's hanging out in the party room in Sydney, which they should be. Which I'm guessing it's Jeff. No, it's somebody else. But anyway, we added a whole bunch of stuff for game modes and fixed a bunch of bugs and stuff like that. But the game modes have stuff like that double jumps can exist, which is pretty cool. Messed around with a few things and that sort of stuff, and that's cool. This guy's trying to score. I don't know if this guy is like a new player or not. You got iMajor, he's got a cool Twitch thing going on. This guy's trying to score. Let's see if he can make it. Can you do it? I'll hang out in the goal. He's almost there. Can he do it? Like, I don't want to just like. He's made 3, I guess, in a minute or so. I don't know if having somebody watch him is freaking him out. But the new game modes are pretty sweet. I'm going to show him how it's done. Oh, well, never mind then. The game's over. Finished. I guess the clock was wrong there then. Anyway, so we got all these voting options. So we can vote for what we want to play with. So like that the ball is larger, or that there's stealth on things, or whatever. We also added some really shitty like emotes in chat there. But they're gonna be fun. So things are going well. We getting the update out there was kind of tricky. We had some problems. A lot more bugs than we wanted, and we had to delay by a day and a little bit. But that was all expected. We usually try to release a day ahead of our update, so delaying by a day actually meant that we released on the planned day for the update. It's one of those things we do. Oh man, it's stealth ball, so we don't have any ball indicators. Crap. Oh man, he's actually doing some work then. Alright, well if he's actually gonna play, then we'll play as well. Crap. I don't know the strategy. This one's interesting because, I mean, he doesn't have the ball, so where'd it go? There it is. I keep punching him. Where'd it go? Crap. Alright, there we go. Yeah. Oh, he stole it. Give me that. I want that big fat sack ball. Get in there. Man, not having the ball indicator, you don't know if it's still following you or not. Oh, I think I got it away from him. Yeah. What's the theme of the game in single player? What happened to the indicator? It's stealth ball mode. There's no indicator on the ball, which is just really tough. Oh fuck, he stole it. It's not attached anymore. I've got a couple seconds away from him. There we go. Oh, he left? Oh. Alright, well if he left, he left. He didn't wanna face the shame of defeat. Or he's getting pissed off at the fucking indicator. Or lack thereof. Some of these game modes are kind of broken. But that's okay. It's kind of the point. So what's the theme of the game single player? The single player right now, we're going to be working on some practice room and some challenge stuff. Kind of like how Smash Brothers has some challenges for single player, like, you know, go break these targets or navigate through this prickly maze and all these other things that you'll have to use the abilities for. The farther in the future single player of the game would be more of a single player game where you have to navigate through levels, avoid obstacles and enemies, be all about movement and exploration. And I think it would be there's a whole plot that Adam has written for facing off and what being the last of the Dashkin actually means. And so there's some cool stuff there, which we'll see if we ever get to it. Otherwise, a cell phone version of this game, the only thing I could think of with a cell phone version of this game would be kind of an endless runner, sort of tap to jump over obstacles or something like that, you know. though, if I was going to make a cell phone game, it's definitely going to be the fat sack breeding simulator, where you have to raise your fat sacks on your fat sack ranch, and you have to breed them so they get better stats, like ability to roll downhill better, or ability to like fart themselves into first place, and then you gotta like race them and enter them into fat sack tournaments. That would be my ideal. Am I going to E3? No, I'm not going to E3. I've never gone to E3, and I probably won't. That's more of a fan convention. I am going to GDC though, so I'll be there at GDC this year. And I'm not really a fan of fan conventions, especially for stuff like surrounding technology, because fans are just like a whole bunch of like dirty, unwashed people you don't want to be around. Like PAX, everybody who went to PAX that was in like when I was in college, it was in Seattle. PAX West is right there, so people would go to PAX West, and everybody who come back from PAX West would just have like some horrible disease and would have to miss out on like a week of school because they were just horribly sick, because people don't take showers ever, and it's just gross. So I'm just kind of not really into that whole thing. They might have because they made it private because it smelled bad. Yeah, that's exactly the reason why. It's just game developers though. Like GDC has got a couple days, right?